turned you off.
Hey, we're talking about going to Japan and back. Up next on Geek Out SA. Welcome back to Geek Out SA. It's Friday and we're having fun. And we have Jovan back from Montaque Travel. How's it going?
It's wonderful to be back home.
Good, good. So, we're talking about going from Japan and coming back here. So, you were there for like 3 weeks, right?
3 whole weeks. And it was amazing.
3 glorious weeks?
3 hardworking weeks.
Oh, hardworking?
Yeah.
You were telling me about mountains and some other mountains and a river.
Well, the Kumagawa River, the Kyushu mountain system, and my schedule, it's on my Instagram account. I forgot to link it to you, but I was booked solid. I landed that Saturday evening, and then from Sunday until the 26th, I was working nonstop, filming, editing, meeting, interviewing. The highlights of the interviews, I got to interview the president of the tourism organization in Hideyoshi. I got to interview an assemblyman, which counts as a Japanese senator by American comparison, who wants to promote tourism of his hometown. So he is literally the hometown hero.
Wow.
I got to interview a famous Japanese poet, Michio Sumiya, who lived in France for 40 years, who's a world-renowned artist. And in his home, and tour his home, which is covered in artwork, which is amazing.
Very cool.
Nice.
Very cool.
So you have a serious amount of editing to do, right?
Yeah.
We got to see some of the things that you did from Facebook Live.
Yeah.
And got to see that stuff, and that was very. I know I interacted with y'all.
I was in the office with Satoshi Kubo.
Yeah.
He's the son of my homestay host when I was in Hideyoshi.
Very nice, very nice. We have a couple. Well, we got more than a couple people watching us right now. But Ghostlight 75 says, "My man Jovan."
All right.
And Texas Style Barbecue and Cuisine says, "Good evening." So hi, how's it going?
Hey, good evening, everybody.
Thanks for watching. We're having
now
fun.
Now the 3 of y'all are going to have to collaborate and get together and do some kind of geeky Japanese cooking, all kind of like together show.
We need to figure that out.
Put it all together.
That won't be hard. We have an open invitation to go to Hideyoshi. We just got to climb the mountain and get there.
We got to get there.
There's a famous restaurant called Nabeshima.
Uh-huh.
And what happens is that instead of them cooking a steak for you, what happens is they bring out a plate of meat and you cook it yourself the way you want it.
We used to have a restaurant like that in San Antonio.
Oh,
it
yeah.
was called
You Are Cooks.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I missed that place.
Yes.
Oh,
that place
dear.
That was so good.
It was so much fun.
It was hard to mess up your own steak.
Really?
Well, it was ridiculous. After a while, you're like, hey, wait a minute. I just paid to go cook my own dinner. What have I done? But
it was a great idea. It was a great idea, just poorly marketed.
Yeah.
Wait, and you could pay a little bit more just to get your thing. But talking about that, did you get to try any Kobe beef over there?
Not this trip out.
Oh, no.
Kobe was about 6 hours, well, 5.5 hours by train away. But I did get to sample a lot of Kyushu Wagyu beef at the Nabeshima restaurant and a couple other places while I was in Hideyoshi, and it was great.
So where is Hideyoshi compared to some of the cities that we might be more familiar with? For those of us who don't know a whole lot about Japan, I think most of us know Tokyo, right?
Yeah.
So where is it in relation to that?
Okay, well, I'm going to use the air hand map. If this is the top half of Japan, Tokyo is in the middle of central Japan. And then when you come down, you have Hiroshima, you have Kobe, Kyoto, Osaka, Gunma, and then you have the Shinki region. Then you have the big chunk of landmass called Kyushu. Hideyoshi's in Kumamoto, and it's just underneath the city, about 2 hours. So it's surrounded. It's a landlocked town, but it does have the Kumagawa River that goes through it. And if you search Kumagawa River or Hideyoshi, it'll pop up immediately, and you'll find it.
Okay.
And I'm sorry I don't read Japanese, but we have somebody in there saying hi, and we also have Hoosier Jedi say, "Hey, Jovan from Japan."
All right. Well, let me get to the video so I can see
So-
his comments too.
Jovan will go to the chat and then he'll tell you what people are saying.
And I was like, well, I don't know what the name is. It's just the name, but he's saying
But
hi.
they said hi in English, yeah.
So thanks, hi from Geek Out SA in San Antonio.
Okay, cool.
So I know you told me you got to see like a knife making.
Yeah, that's one of the videos coming up. What happens is that you have a family that has been making knives for over 225 years. So when you walk into the shop, you can see the prepping materials from the great-great-great-grandfather all the way to the current generation. So you have the son, the father, and the grandfather, and they have two shops. One is at the Hideyoshi Craft Park, which is a very family-friendly event. It's basically like what a flea market factory would be in San Antonio. So you can walk in, they have a park, they have restaurants, they have a gift shop, and then you can go tour all the other artisans and crafters there. They have a leatherworking and all that. You can make a knife there. Or you can go to the shop that I did the video at. A young couple from Ireland and Kansas were in there making their own gifts for their parents when they were getting married.
Oh, wow. Nice. So what kind of knives did they mostly make there?
Fish knives.
Fish knives?
Really?
So if you wanted to cut like a Japanese-style chef and make your own professional sashimi or not really sushi, but you can actually get the better cuts than with the steak knife in that
oh, wow.
shop.
Very cool.
They call it a course, but the fee is $50 for the 90 minutes for the big knife, $30 for the same amount of time for the smaller knife. But you're being walked through by the master himself, so you can't mess up.
Very nice. That would be really cool.
Would be really
cool to do.
I would
Definitely.
be excited to go do something like that. Yeah.
Wear shorts. It's hot in that place.
So Ghostlight75 says, so sad I couldn't join the trip, but seriously gonna grind and save for another trip. And Retro Crunch says, sup, Colleen? Oh, hi, Vince. Hi.
Dirty.
How's it going, Retro Crunch? And we got to get you on, too. So let me know when you're down for that. Contact me on Facebook. So what are some of the other things that everybody knows? Tokyo, of course.
Yeah.
That's the big city. That's
the capital.
That's the capital. So
13 million people strong.
What is this smaller town like?
This smaller town is literally like driving to San Marcos, getting off and stepping into the Japanese version of it. The only difference is that it doesn't have a lot of college students. There's no universities in this city. You're up in the mountains, which San Marcos doesn't have. You have the same kind of river life where you can get a tube or you can get on a raft and go down a river.
Oh, really?
You have a lot of barbecue restaurants. You have a lot of history built into the town because the town has been the same community for almost 1,000 years. You have the beautiful castle ruins that has the secret boat launch in the museum right across the street. You have all of the onsens and major hotels along facing the river. You have a lot of beautiful restaurants that are tucked away in little hidden corners. That makes it the adventure in and of itself. The major highlight is that the train station is historical. They have the modern station, and then the historic station is right behind it. You can take a tour of that. Wow, so they have so much opportunities for you to just get lost for a weekend or a week in Hideyoshi.
So what is the modern versus the historic train?
The historic train is a steam locomotive. It's very popular around the world. It's not known in San Antonio because we really never ride the train here. So when you look at this train system, you have to understand that when trains first came to Japan, they have 3 historic stations in the town. Okuba Station, Hideyoshi Station, and the Kumagawa system. Kumagawa only serves the Hideyoshi region. So they have 5 trains: the spring, the summer, the fall, the symphony, and then the winter train. All of them are gorgeous, and when you see the videos, you can literally walk into the history because all of the trains are color coordinated. The chocolate one has all the seats are chocolate covered. They have the original train that they used, what it looks like, what it sounds like. They have videos playing in the train so you can see the original train before they decommissioned it and built the modern one.
But they use the train system to get from city to city. Yeah, they're using it a lot more than we would. Yeah. I think here in Texas, we think of trains, carrying stuff from the coast you know, to go somewhere to be put on an 18-wheeler. We don't think of it as
A
like
luxury
if I wanted to go to Austin, I'd get on a luxury train and just head out, you know, and or go to Dallas or something. But that's how they treat it, right?
Yeah.
And how much does something like that cost to be able to do that?
Well, the best way to take a train in Japan is to get the JR Rail Experience Pass.
Mm-hmm.
There's several websites that I use to get the best price on it. But last summer when I went, I paid $562, and I had 21 days of train access. That means I can take a train from anywhere in Tokyo all the way to Hideyoshi by bullet train and to take a local train into Hideyoshi. To give you an example how much money you save, a train ticket from Kyoto to Tokyo on the Semi Express is $280. Round trip, you've already bought your rail pass.
Wow.
Wow.
And the limitations on the JR pass is that you cannot ride 4 Pacific bullet trains because they're the green pass or they're above the green pass. So you have the basic JR pass, green pass, which is first class, is another $300,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have the exclusive diamond pass that you have to buy directly from the Tokyo Metropolitan train system.
And that one you can go from bullet train to bullet train.
You
right?
can get on all the luxury trains that start off at $1,000 a ticket.
What are we talking about on a luxury? Have you seen them? What's
Okay.
a luxury like?
There's a
wanna
YouTube
know.
video I have to share with you, but what happens on a luxury train, it looks like something out of a beautiful sci-fi movie. Most of the train car is glass, so you can look out at every angle. You can see the ground, you can see the mountains, you can see the sky.
Wow.
You are pampered like you're flying first class on a plane. So
Wow.
they're bringing you champagne. They ask you what you want to drink. You have to fill out your meal request. So when they bring you dinner, you're ordering what you want because you're paying that much money. The chef will order the food, prepare for you, and bring it out to you.
And that's much more than $200.
Yeah.
He said.
1,000?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
The beautiful train that goes through Hideyoshi is called the Seven Stars Kyushu. It's a 10-car train. It's $1,000 a week, but it stops at Nagasaki, Kumamoto, Fukuoka, Saga Prefecture, Kagoshima, and 2 other towns I can't remember right now. But it's literally, it'll go into town, stop. You can sleep on a train, or you can get a hotel in town. Take the tour groups with the train ticket price, or you can just explore on your own. But you have 7 days to explore the 7 biggest cities in Kyushu.
Huh. Hoosier Jedi says even small towns have interesting stuff if you're willing to dig a bit. It's amazing how many places have historical sites and unique festivals. And he also says the bullet train from Kumamoto to Osaka is about 150 one way.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
I mean,
and what kind of distance is that?
Roughly, if you were driving from Kumamoto to Osaka, that's a 9-hour ride. That's like driving to El Paso. So you
Even
have
on
to,
a bullet train?
No.
Oh,
If you were
Like
driving
driving.
physically,
driving physically.
that's 9
okay.
hours. Bullet train cuts that down to about 3.5, 4. You're literally pushing at 200 miles an hour and not getting pulled over by the cops. Wow. And you don't even feel it. The technology in a bullet train is that you're walking, you don't feel the pull of force.
That's nice. That's really cool.
One
You
of
only
these
pull
days,
it
I gotta
when you-
check that out.
Yeah, you only feel it when a train starts and when it's slowing down. Other than that, you're just walking like you're walking around your house.
Well, I think Hoosier Jedi was saying about the smaller towns having historical significance, and I guess that's what I think of when I think of Japan. I think of like this old community, you know, this older civilization that has all of this embedded history. Is that kind of like the feelings that you get, or is that kind of an Americanized version of what Japan is like?
No, it's not. For example, Hideyoshi is the home of the Sagada clan, and when you had the Meiji Restoration, which is basically the same time as the American Civil War, what happened is that the head of government, Hideyoshi Tokugawa in Tokyo, said, okay, everyone, all of the clan lords need to come to Tokyo. We're going to discuss moving to the future. Hideyoshi is one of the communities that chose not to join the future, and they had to learn the hard way. So when you're walking through the town, you feel it, you can almost taste it when you walk into the museums and you're looking at all the artifacts.
Wow.
So when you're going through the historical parts of Hideyoshi, you're literally seeing 800 years of history embedded in the community.
So it almost kind of is like Texas. It's almost like that connection that we have in Texas, because Vincent and I drove to West Texas this summer to go to the McDonald Observatory, and there are still those towns in Texas where really the only thing that's keeping them going is they have like museums of things that happened in the West, you know, or places that you can visit. They decided, like you're talking about, not to move into the future with the rest of us. So we have these little pockets kind of in Texas too, like they do in Japan. That's interesting. I feel like that's interesting. I feel like I would want to go to Japan and
Me too.
like
Yeah,
see,
I
you
would
know,
have.
my culture and see their culture and see how much we have like that's kind of meshes and is similar and is kind of different.
Theirs is just like way older than ours.
Well, yeah, obviously, but I think that would be interesting just because of where we grew up and
Because
where we
it
came
kind of feels
from.
like you go back in time when you go into some of those towns, and if you were
Yeah.
able to see that far back, that would be really interesting.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool.
And Crispy Critter is on it and says, "Hey
Crispy
Vince,
Critter.
hey, how's it going?" I actually find out who Crispy Critter is. So.
Oh, you know who that is?
Yeah.
Okay, but don't tell.
All right. Hideyoshi's #1 selling point are the onsen ryokans. An onsen ryokan is the hot spring inside the hotel where you can take the traditional Japanese bath, but it's attached to luxury resort hotels. You have the Nabayama Ryokan, the Toshino Ryokan, the Oga Onsen, and then there's about 20 other onsens. And when you look at the stonework and everything, they literally just renovated on top of the hot spring.
So it's just like a natural formation that they're just building around.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds cool too.
So yeah, they did add some shower. You know, they added what you would see in a onsen, but at the same time, you're also seeing where it originally was. For example, the Nabayaba Ryokan, they have a museum in the lobby, and they show you how the old building looked with the original architecture. They show you the family's heirlooms from that era. Swords, armor, bows and arrows, their first business license from the Meiji Restoration government. You can see the Emperor of Japan came all the way down there to visit them. They have the pictures. They literally have a walk-in museum in the lobby.
That's really cool.
That's really neat, yeah.
The Toshino Ryokan, their claim to fame is that they had famous Japanese poets and painters help decorate the building. You had one famous Japanese poet, can't remember his name, I don't want to butcher it, but every time he wrote a book or a series of poems, he would book a room at the room, and I have the picture on Instagram. So I have to share that with you as well.
So how's the geek scene there?
Hideyoshi's geek scene is mostly the trains, the video game festival that I posted from Facebook Live. They have a couple of secondhand shops for games. Nothing really super powerful there, but the selling point of Hideyoshi's geek scene is you go to Kumamoto City, which is an hour and a half, 2-hour train ride into town, and then you hop on a local city train. In 20 minutes, you're in downtown, and then there's all the geek you can want. They have a Star Wars parade every May.
Really?
Yeah. Because when I was with Who's Your Jedi, when we were teaching on a jet program, we were at McDonald's, we look out, and there's all of these Obi-Wan Kenobis and stormtroopers walking down the street. And we're like, is it me?
Like, is that really happening?
And then they had a giant float of a R2-D2 going.
That's cool.
But
we gotta look that up and go in May, apparently.
yeah, but one of the issues is that since the earthquake, a lot of the smaller mom and pop stores have closed, and the other ones you have to kind of find someone who has a car and knows their way around to get to. But there's still 11 different model stores, toy shops, and geek stores around downtown next to the castle. So you're right there in the center of the action.
So not too far away from it. So
No, just like San
Not bad.
Antonio and San Marcos.
very cool.
And we're used to San Antonio and San Marcos.
Yeah.
Like, people are always asking me, like, oh, where are you going to go or whatever. And I'll say, oh, I'm going to go over here or over there. And it'll take me like 40 minutes, 45 minutes. And I'm like, wow, why do you even bother? What? Like, that's just, we're like used to it. I'm totally down. Like, we wanted to go to the McDonald Observatory in West Texas. So we stayed in this little town, like probably 50 minutes away. And people were like, well, why did you stay so far away? Well, I mean, it was smaller and it was kind of kitschy and it was still that like historical. So we stayed there and we're used to driving. So we were just like, oh, 50 minutes, it's not a big deal.
And there's nothing really in between.
That's true. There's nothing in between. We could have stayed there near the observatory, but are the places kind of far apart in Japan?
Yeah. Who's your Jedi say?
Who's Your Jedi says eating a traditional Japanese breakfast while wearing yukata.
Yukatas, yeah.
Yukata is a great experience.
Yeah, that's one of the beautiful parts about all of the hotels.
Oh, he says there's an anime bar there?
Yeah, in Kumamoto there's a anime bar. There's so many bars in Kumamoto. The nightlife in Kumamoto is what San Antonio really needs. But as far as Japanese touring their own country, they have that same mindset of everything being too far, even though they do have access to their own version of the rail paths. Mm-hmm. Like, I've met people from Tokyo that have never been to 10% of the places I went to last summer. They're like, wow, you've really traveled Japan. I've only been to my hometown in Tokyo. That was their only experience. But with Hideyoshi and a lot of the resort towns, when you check into the hotel, they'll have their yukata with their logo on it because you're walking around marketing for them, but you're still getting traditional lifestyle of Japan.
Interesting. So, who's your Jedi, right? That's what his name is?
Who's your Jedi?
He was saying something about a traditional Japanese... What's traditional Japanese breakfast? I have to know.
Okay, depending on what region you're in, if they have more meat or more fish, you're probably going to end up with more meat or more fish. But the running joke is you always get miso soup, you get rice, you get spicy pickles where they rub the pickles in spice.
For breakfast?
For breakfast?
Yes. I know it sounds bad. Hold on, it gets better. They literally have
rice and pickles.
But a traditional Japanese breakfast, you have to understand, is that they don't eat a lot of processed foods. They eat what they farm or is locally available. So when I was staying with my host family, I had cucumbers every morning. I had a salad every morning. I had rice every morning. I had miso soup every morning. And then I had whatever meat that she decided to prepare that morning with tea, orange juice, and coffee. So I was like wired on caffeine.
They don't have chickens?
They have plenty of chicken.
But they don't make eggs?
They have eggs, but that's more of a Western breakfast.
Yeah.
Not a Japanese breakfast.
Interesting.
They don't put the egg on the burger over there like
that's
McDonald's.
Really I'm gonna pass on that too.
But for example, the hotel I stayed in Tokyo, because I flew to Tokyo, stayed the night, and then I flew out. That hotel, which is the Via Fontaine Ueno, they had eggs and bacon or eggs and sausage as part of their buffet breakfast. You can still get it. They cater to Westerners, but they still have the traditional Japanese breakfast on the side.
I'd probably try it, but I feel like it's very strange. Here's your soup and pickles for breakfast. Thank you.
But it's sliced pickles or sliced cucumbers. It's not as bad as it sounds.
I hid a Pop-Tart in my jacket.
What kind of desserts are out there?
That's the wrong question to ask. So, Nestle Kit Kat Tokyo. Kit Kats in Tokyo, there's over 400 different varieties of Kit Kats in Japan.
What?
Wow.
Yes. There's over 400 varieties. Literally, hear me. They have the alcohol series, sake, whiskey, shochu, beer, Kit Kats. Then you have the expensive Kit Kats, where are the wine, the what's that cheese that everybody was cream cheese Kit Kats. You have melted butter Kit Kats. You have green tea Kit Kats. You literally have to watch the tour video on YouTube. You literally have factories in Japan that they literally design new Kit Kats every year. They have seasonal Kit Kats. They have festival Kit Kats. Local distilleries and breweries in Japan order their own Kit Kats just for their business to sell to their customers. Hotels can order their own special Kit Kats. Kit Kat is like the luxury suite in Japan, other than the expensive stuff you can find in stores.
That seems like the weirdest thing to have chosen. Like the absolute weirdest thing.
Well, you know what brand is the biggest American brand to hit Japan, right? KFC.
Really?
KFC is one of the strongest market share fast food companies from America in Japan.
But do they serve like different stuff?
No, they serve the exact same thing. What happened is that they hired a international marketing team to make it work for the Japanese culture. So about 1984-85, KFC launched the Christmas dinner campaign. So you had families that were lining up because they hit it so hard to buy a bucket of chicken, all the sides, biscuits, gravies, rice, and fries, and Pepsi products. And that was Christmas dinner. For families that lower middle class, all up to the rich families, it was a staple of the Japanese culture, and it still is. So, for example, I need you to flip your calendar around because the American Valentine's Day is Christmas Day in Japan. So Christmas Day in Japan is date night. They're going to KFC. So it's not uncommon for a college couple to say, "Hey, I got $30. It's Christmas. Do you want to get Christmas cake and KFC, or do you just want to have the cake and skip to dessert?"
Merry Christmas. Here's a Santa Kit Kat, and here's some KFC.
Pretty much.
What it would be like a candy cane Kit
Yeah,
Kat.
it'd be like peppermints with like red chocolate on it.
And you love Kit Kat.
I do, but it's just totally random. Like, I don't get it. I feel like there should be some gummy, sticky sesame seed. Weird
Ghostlight
sugar
75
thing that they eat or
says,
something.
"Can you imagine getting
Pocky.
turned on Kit Kats?"
Yes, I can. For real.
Especially
It's
with
a
the
thing.
vodka variety Kit Kats that they have in Japan, too.
I'd be like, woo, Kit Kat! Maybe don't take me to Japan. No.
All right. Well,
I'm just kidding.
one of the
I'm not
selling
like that.
points. One of the selling points of Hideyoshi is that it's critically acclaimed for liquor connoisseurs around the world. They have 28 of the world-renowned shochu breweries in one place. Why? Because they have one of the cleanest rivers in Japan, and they have some of the cleanest farmland in Japan. And most of the shochu produced in Hideyoshi is rice-based. So it has a very smooth flavor, feel, no hangover, no after effects, no upset stomach, and it's one of my favorite brand of shochu, Hakutake, has won 17 international awards.
Oh wow.
We have some serious beer connoisseur friends who would like be dying to go do that.
Yeah,
They're even into that. There's an Untapped app apparently where you can like log all the different kinds of beer that you've had. So I can imagine like logging all the ones in Japan, and because didn't you say that you can go like and go try them, right?
yes. So here's how it works. When you are going to Japan and you go to Hideyoshi, every major distillery has a tasting room. Last summer, I went to Sengetsu because I didn't know how to get to Hakutake. In Sengetsu, it's a 5-minute tour. He literally shows you their filtration system, how it's set up, what does it look like when it's done, where their bottling facility is. Then they walk you to the tasting room. And they say, you have 45 minutes to an hour, drink anything you want, try everything, and let us know when you're ready to go. So everyone in the group that was old enough to drink, we tried everything. And Sengetsu is a strong, strong brand.
Wow.
It's not super smooth. It's not like Hakutake. Sengetsu is like the bull horns of shochu. Sengetsu is like the James Bond smooth in and out of shochu.
So what's the drinking age there?
20.
Oh, so
Oh,
close to ours.
close to ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's reasonable.
No.
You don't think so? You think 18 is reasonable? I mean, really, I've heard arguments for that here in the United States, especially since, like, young men and women are going into the military at 18. If you can go into the military and serve your country and go to war, you should be able to have beer. I don't know what the effects are on your little growing brain. Like, by 21, none of your body parts are growing anymore. You're good. You're set. You're solid. Then you can go destroy all of them if you want to. But
I don't recommend that, but
no,
yeah.
I don't recommend that either. But
Hang
it's
on
your life.
to yourselves.
Yeah.
Don't obliterate them
No.
yet.
Yeah.
You want the cells. They're all
Definitely.
good.
So, so what are some of the other things that you wouldn't think you'd find there?
In Hideyoshi,
In
I didn't think
Hideyoshi.
I was gonna find a ghost festival that's next to a graveyard next to elementary school. The way this
Wow.
elementary school is placed, There is a dividing wall, so the kids don't see the grave markers and stones, but when they hit the main street, they can see it anyway. But this Ekokuji Jinja, which is the shrine, they have a ghost festival. And when I was at the Maitetsu festival, some of the actors that do the haunted house at the shrine come out with the bloody heads and the full gear and makeup looking like ghosts. And I was
Wow.
like, interesting.
So
Okay.
is the Ghost Festival more like like American Halloween, or is it more like Dia de los Muertos in Mexico?
It's more like Halloween, 10% Dias de los Muertos, but it's all about the people buried that are famous at the shrine.
Oh, so it's
So,
about the famous.
yes,
Okay.
because that's the shrine that has the famous faceless woman. That's a very wonderful story. It's a myth, but basically a very famous woman who was spurned by her noble lover, lost her face, so she would put on a false face to lure young men, steal their souls, and then kill them. And what happened is that the monk of the shrine had to show her in a mirror to see how evil she'd become. The mirror didn't work, so he painted what she looked like, and that trapped her. So that's the famous story about that shrine.
Oh,
Huh.
interesting.
That's
Interesting.
making me want to go even more and more. Spoopy?
I don't know.
What is that?
Ruby. I don't know.
I don't know. It says my kind of scene.
Yeah. Hideyoshi.
Explain spoopy.
I couldn't.
Well, Ghostlight 75 send that. I don't know what that.
You don't know what a spoopy is?
Spoopy?
Like
Spooky,
it's a
maybe?
No,
I don't
spoopy.
know.
Like it's spoopy.
Spoopy. But
No, it's a thing.
you have a lot of wonderful shrines and temples there. The number one thing that everyone I recommend do, which is a 10-minute walk from the train station, is Oyasa Jinja. It's becoming a World Heritage Site. They're not filing the paperwork yet because it's a Japanese national treasure. I got to interview the head shrine priest, and also record the practice that they're starting for their festival on October 8th. They have the Sagara clan, and the Sagara clan's totem animal is the lion. So they have the lion dance with the taiko drumming, and basically about 200 people participate to make the parade and the festival work.
So it sounds like they have quite a few festivals there.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
that's
do.
the understatement. There's a festival literally every quarter. So they have a fall festival, they have a winter festival, they have a spring festival, they have summer festivals, not including the traditional Japanese holidays.
But are they just like one day festivals?
No.
So it's like Fiesta, but like every quarter it's Fiesta.
Yeah, that's the easy way to explain it.
We like that even better. There's just more and more reasons for us to go. Every time Jovan tells us, we're like, oh, I could do that too.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
he says
think I would-
spoopy equals scary.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Okay.
I think I would like to definitely like to see some of the festivals, the dancing. I always like to look at that on YouTube just to see some of that. Because like you and I were talking earlier, I think you live inside your culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of make assumptions about cultures based on a few different things that you've seen, but then to kind of go and be in the midst of it and see what it's really like and what similarities you have.
And the
But what
contrast.
differences you have too that are really interesting and unique. So
Because I'm sure going there, there's still going to be a huge culture shock.
Culture shock is not the understatement. It's the guideline. And the number one thing is like, for example, when you get off the plane and you're getting on an escalator in Tokyo, you want to be on the left side. If you're not walking fast, you're slow, you're just standing on an escalator. Why? Because you'll literally have a elderly woman that is turbocharging down the escalator to catch a train, and she will try to truck you if you're in her way.
Wow.
Now, yes, the Japanese people are super nice. Don't be in Tokyo Station at rush hour. Don't. Just walk around Tokyo Station, wait till about 7, 8 o'clock when people are human again, and they're not in a rush to go home or go to work, and then enjoy Tokyo Station for what it's worth.
It's kind of like New York in that respect.
yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Hideyoshi literally is San Marcos in a parking brake motion. So, like, you get out, and the town literally seems timeless as you're going through it. You know that it's transitioning through the day, but there's so many opportunities for you to check out this little shop, try this little cafe, go to this shrine, or go to this venue that you get lost in it. and that's one of the beautiful selling points about the town.
Very cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
And
So
then
do
people
you-
are posting stuff right now in a language I don't know what it is,
don't know how
but
to-
I can't see it on
read
my screen, so I can't help.
Do you you get ingrained when you're over there? So do you feel culture shock when you come back home, or?
That's. Here's the best way to explain that. When I fly to LAX, I already know that the gates are going to change, flights are going to be canceled. I'm going to be pissed off if my luggage gets lost. In Japan, it is seamless, nothing changes, and it's calm as just walking through security. For example, when I go fly anywhere in the United States, my CPAP machine, I have to break it down, pull it out. My laptop comes out, my shoes come off, I get randomly screened. For whatever reason, I get randomly screened. In Japan, it's like, they said, oh, keep your wallet, keep your passport, keep your keys, take your change out, take metal objects on you out. Your laptop can stay in a bag. All your camera equipment doesn't have to be scanned individually. It just slides through security. When I go to a restaurant and they get my order wrong, I don't have to pay extra or be inconvenienced for their mistake. They will redo it right then and there with no argument. When I go to McDonald's in Japan, and I don't eat McDonald's, but I don't have to argue about barbecue sauce. I don't have that snippy little teenager pissed off that they work fast food giving me grief. They're like, here you go. Please enjoy it.
Well, yeah, I've seen that actually in the Japanese school system, when we're talking about those elementary schools, for the first part of their education in Japan, that's really all they teach them. Is they teach them manners,
Oh, the
they teach
manners
them
thing,
how to
yeah.
treat one another, they make them clean up the school. So they teach them the value of that everything you do has purpose, has value, has meaning.
Has impact.
It has impact. Yeah, even if you are just a fast food worker, you're not, because you're impacting so many other people's days. You're fueling them so that they can go on and do something else. You're starting the tone of their day. So I like that I've seen that that's what Japan does. I wish that here in the United States we did some more of that character building. I know that we try, but I think that we could really go a lot further.
Yeah. One of the teachers I teach with now at Dwight Middle School, his old school used to send kids to China. And then the next year, those kids that went to China, their friends would come to their school in America. One of the big culture shocks that he described is that how not Japan, but China has cleaning time. And that's an Asian staple where everyone in the community contributes. Everyone cleans, everyone cooks, everyone takes care of the trash. I wish we had that in America because it would change a lot of the behaviors we deal with at the middle school level. They would disappear because the number one thing that Asia teaches is community first. Everyone's a part of the community. Everyone is valued in the community. So everyone's contribution and sacrifice to be part makes them stronger.
So I think that would make visiting Japan nice also, is because you do feel that you don't have that entitlement necessarily. You have kind of a different attitude and a different mindset. So I think that would be interesting to experience as well, to see kind of how that works.
So now that you've been there, how do we get there?
Okay.
From
Like
here.
I was saying in the last time I was here, the easiest way to do it is you break the middleman. What happens is that every major stop on an airline, you're paying the gate fees, the taxes, what have you, whatnot. Easiest way to do it is book 10.5 months in advance from the day you come back. So, for example, if you're coming back July 25th, you would wait till August the previous year to buy your ticket from LA to Tokyo. Why do you want to deal with LA? It has some of the cheapest flights to Tokyo from LAX. Then you wait 3 to 4 months and you buy the cheapest airline that will get you to LA and with your equipment and your baggage. So on average, everyone that came with me 2017, their plane tickets round trip going home and going to Japan were under $1,400 a person, if not cheaper. If you look it up right now from San Antonio to Tokyo, it's over $2,200. Because every airline, the longer you're on their planes, the more money they're charging you for being in that seat. So break the middleman.
Yeah.
The next step is when you're planning out your hotels, research. If you have 20 minutes, pick your cities based on what you know, or just hit random on the Japanese Wikipedia or any tourism site. Why do I say that? Because Tokyo, if it's your first time, spend 4 to 5 days in Tokyo. Tokyo is literally double the size of Houston and New York. You can get lost. You can find adventures around every corner. If you played any video games that have any touch to Japan, like the Yakuza series, Ikebukuro is a real part of Tokyo. It's the red light district. It really does exist. It's completely reminiscent of what it looks like in real life. So if you go to the noodle shop restaurant in the game, it's going to be in the exact same place when you get there to Tokyo.
Cool.
Interesting.
Very cool. Well, Jovan, thanks for coming and hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. And you definitely look him up on YouTube and all the social media. It's
Montaque Travel.
Montaque Travel.
On Instagram, Twitter. It's Travel with Montague on YouTube. One thing I forgot to tell you is that Hideyoshi is based on a real-life anime. The anime is Natsume Eugene Show. The entire town has a festival every year where you can tour all the locations that the artist used in her show.
Very cool.
Very cool.
So if you want to check that out, definitely hit Jovan up, and he can see if he can get you there.
He'll get
But
you there.
thanks for checking us out. Had a lot of fun. If you haven't subscribed to us, please subscribe to us and like all the stuff we do. I'm Vince.
I'm Colleen, and that's Jovan, and Stuart's producing, and Vince is over there.
Geek out, SA.